It was one of the most controversial killings in Kenya's history, involving a high-profile personality. And soon after the murder of the former Foreign Affairs Minister Wajackoya, many of the investigators charged with the responsibility of bringing the culprits to book followed the same path. They died in mysterious circumstances. But George Luchiri managed to escape, and after 20 years in exile, he has returned home.
Nilikuwa nimeshikwa hapa, nimefungwa na kwa vile nilikuwa askari watu wangeniamini na Mungu alinisaidia nikatoroka.
Luchiri returned home to find a totally different environment. There is a witness protection bill in parliament that could see a witness protection system in place soon. But Luchiri says that it is the forthcoming referendum that has been a catalyst for his return.
I've come here to register as a voter and to see my people.
He also comes home at a time that a Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission has been set up.
So why did you flee?
I left the country in 1990 when situations were not favorable to my place of work following Dr. Robert Wajackoya's murder, of which I was part of the investigators from the then Security Intelligence Headquarters, the Special Branch. Then I went to the United Kingdom, where I became a refugee.
Tell us a bit about your growing up.
Yes, I come from Mumias in Western Kenya.
Yeah.
And my coming to the city was as a result of my parents divorcing, which is something that will require another day to cover. But to be in short, my mother and father divorced when I was 4 years old. And then my father left for Uganda and remarried. So I was left under the custody of my grandparents. Mm-hmm. My grandfather being a village catechist, Roman Catholic, and my grandmom being the same. At the age of 6, I was molded by a python, which when I was taking care of my grandparents' animals with the other grandchildren. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, she was killed and I survived, but I was partially deaf for a while.
Who died? Your grandmother?
No, the snake, the python.
Oh.
Yeah, it was killed, or she was killed.
Oh, okay.
And then I was rescued, but then I survived with partial injuries, of which I have scars on my body, the squeezing of the skin. And then that in itself made it worse because my mom had been actually branded as a witch because she could not give birth immediately she was married.
Yes.
Because 16 cows were paid as dowry. So they expected her to give birth simultaneously and immediately. Mm. When it took 2 years, they came up with a conclusion that there was something wrong with this woman.
Yeah.
But when she bore me, that's when her problem started, because that was like a disapproval to their myth and what have you.
Okay.
So when I was born, she was excommunicated from the village, and a small hut was built for her outside the village, where she stayed as an outcast.
Okay.
And then later on, when she became pregnant of my second sister, and while she was in labor alone, things went so bad that my young sister died thereafter. And that's when she left. Mm-hmm. So when she left, I continued, as I said, about the snake. And then I was removed from that village to go far away so that I don't contaminate the family with my mother's witches. Mm. So I used to go for about 10 kilometers in a school known as Buhui Primary School, which is more or less like 2 hours walk. Mm. So I used to wake up very early in the morning, I would go and come back. Then, unfortunately, in 1969, it rained during lunchtime, and we had gone to seek shelter that we could actually beg for porridge, because the woman there was selling porridge.
Yeah.
And then the lightning hit her, hit the place, and she died, plus another woman. So I was severely burned on my right shoulder, which I think when I joined the police, they didn't actually examine me properly. Mm-hmm. Otherwise I would not have joined the police. Yeah, but that is God's fate.
Yeah.
Then after that, things went so bad in that I walked in search of my mother, whom I could not even recognize that particular time. Mm-hmm. So I ended up in Busia, and I was like walking that direction because that's what I knew, she came from that direction. Mm-hmm. And fortunately or fortunately for me, I befriended a man of Somali origin and appearance who happened to be a driver of the long petrol hauliers. So the man brought me to Nairobi with an intent, which I didn't realize, that he was a purifier. So when he put me in his house, he went to buy milk, and eventually when he came back, he was hit by a vehicle, and he died on the spot. So on the same day, I was kicked out of that house, and I started now navigating my way around. And I graduated into a Chokora.
Yes.
And I grew up in the streets, the harsh streets of Nairobi.
Yes.
And eventually, I joined the Hare Krishna Hare Rama, where they used to come to the streets to give us what we call prashadam. And then I went to the temple in Ngara. I grew up in Ngara. They took me to school. And to say it in short, one of their worshippers, Mr. Ramlal Sharma of City High School, took me from the temple to his home in Ngara, where Pioneer International University is. That is the former City High School.
Yeah.
Where I was privileged to go to school.
Yes.
My classmates included people like Honorable Ruben Dolo of Makadara,
Okay.
and people like Ranalo of the Ranalo restaurant, who can attest to what I'm saying today. Then eventually, J.J. Kamodo adopted me, not as a son, but as a guardian.
Okay.
And by then he was Minister for Higher Education.
All right.
And when I finished my Form 4, he actually literally sponsored me to high school, plus the late Njiru, the MP from, former Assistant Minister from Kirinyaga. And in fact, when they died, I attended their funerals, and they made me to be what I am today.
Okay, very well then. Later on, you became a police.
Yes,
Why did you decide to join the force?
Well, when I went to St. Peter's Mumias for my A-levels, we were the second pioneers. And we tried our level best. I got 1 principal and 3 subsidiaries, which totaled 6 points.
Okay.
But those who got 7 points with at least 2 principals, they went to the university. So I was short of going to the university. But in my mind, I was like, well, one day I will. And that's why I decided to join the Kenya Police as a constable.
Okay.
Because I wanted at least to do something.
Yeah.
Then when I joined the police, I came back, and I was posted in Central Police Station. Then years later, Moi, by then he was the president, he gave an order that all Form 6 graduates who are in the police be taken back to Kenya Police College for special SOIP, special inspectorate course.
Okay.
Which I went, I came back, and then I was posted here in Kasarani.
Brown, just here?
Yes,
Okay.
when I became an inspector.
Okay.
Before I joined the National Security Intelligence. By
Okay.
that time, they called it Special Branch.
Yeah.
Yes.